Hey, Samuel Leeds here, and this week we have a fantastic guest on interviewing winners on a Wednesday. But just for the record, next Wednesday there will be no winners on a Wednesday interview as we do on a Wednesday, because there will be the full documentary of my financial freedom challenge. So going to be interesting times. So that's going to be next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Boxing Day. But right now, here's winners on a Wednesday. Hey, what's up guys? Samuel Leeds here. We are on Winners on a Wednesday, and this week's winner is the amazing Anthony
Wilmott.
Wilmott! Your surname's different on Facebook.
It is.
High five, bro. Good to have you on the show. How do you feel?
Yeah, excited to be here. Very much excited.
When did we first meet?
So we met on the crash course, end of April.
End of April, so that was this year?
And then I came to your deal finding extravaganza end of September.
So tell us a little bit of background about yourself. When you decided to get into property, what you were doing, and how that all came about before you came on the crash course in April.
So early in January this year, I had some hardships go on at home, and found out I might be becoming redundant in my job. So I was a bit like, I'm not really sure what to do next with my life. I'd been a retail manager for 9 years and thought, I'm not really sure where to go. Yeah. Contacted my brother and was just like, I don't know what to do. So he put me in touch with some of your videos.
So your brother said, you're worried about your job security, working in retail.
Yeah.
Watch these videos, this could help, right?
Yeah, he's like, this is what I'm looking to do long term. And I remember
and is he in property, or is he just interested in starting out?
So I dragged him along kicking and screaming in the end is what happened. So I remember watching some of your videos and being like, why are we not doing this? Yeah. And he's like, time, money. And I was like, no, we're going for this, full force.
So he introduced you to the YouTube videos,
yeah.
But then it was you that then went, wow, and then you dragged him to the crash course.
Pretty much.
He didn't really want to go. Yeah. Your background's in retail. Where are you based?
So I live in Crewe, from Stafford originally, moved for work and various things like that.
For your previous job?
Yeah.
Awesome, okay. So what happened at the crash course?
So we came to the crash course and it was absolutely mind-blowing. Obviously we'd done some research prior to that and we went away thinking, this is great, we're going to get some deals. We found a great deal at the crash course and it was the one that you picked to be the best deal and purchased it from us, which was great.
So you came to the crash course,
yeah,
and I actually gave you money because you found it. Do you remember how much?
It was £250 that we split between the three group of
us.
which is great.
Which is going to at least pay for your dinner, right?
Yeah, it was good.
£250 from coming to a free crash course.
Yeah.
But presumably the value that you got from the crash course far outweighed the £250 that you won.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't about the money, it was more about the experience and about the value we gained from it. And I remember leaving the crash course thinking, I had all these ideas in my head. The blocker for us has always been money, but for me it's been more of a challenge. How are we going to overcome that? There's people out there like yourself that if money's not stopped them, so why was it going to stop me and my brother? So we went away from the crash course and I thought, great, let's go. We're looking for below market value deals that we could buy and refinance and try and use investors' money. But that was hard. It was really difficult, not having a brand and not, so we got loads of deals and then approached investors and then couldn't get the money, so the deal fell through, and then we couldn't get the deal, so we couldn't get the investors, and it was challenging, it was very difficult.
And do you remember when you came to the crash course, do you remember what the deal was that I liked so much that I gave you £250?
Yeah, I remember we found a deal in Blackpool.
I'm surprised I bought a deal off in Blackpool. I hate Blackpool.
Yeah, I remember you said at the time, but you were like, the ROI is really good on it, so it was 32% ROI.
Very good.
And it was a great house, it was pretty much ready to go. So.
And how did you, at the crash course, how did you find that deal then, actually there on the day? What happened?
So, like I said, we'd watched some of your videos prior to that, so we already knew about sort of doing ROI calculators, return on investment. So we paired with some people we didn't know.
Did you have any previous experience in property, or had you done any property training before you came on the crash course?
No, we'd been to some networking events and things like that, but no sort of formal
You hadn't done any training or anything. So tell us how you found the deal on the actual crash course, because that's crazy.
So we just very quickly looked for properties that were going to hit the return on investment, and very quickly discounted ones that needed work and that weren't going to fit the criteria that we were looking for, because we only had a limited amount of time. I think it was 50 minutes I think you gave us on the crash course, so very short amount of time to find this deal. Very quickly just go through, find the house number and all of the bits and bobs with that went along it, and then worked out the rent in the area using the tools that you'd given us, used that to work out how much we could offer, and from that point, if we looked at actual market value that it was on to offer versus rent, we thought this was a deal that would stack up and that would work. We know there's people buying these renting these properties in the area, so we knew that this was going to be a deal that would work for us.
And were you the only person at the event that found a good deal?
Oh no, I mean, actually we were the 6th person that came up on stage, but lots of people came on stage and their deal stacked up, but they needed work and this, that and the other, and we were so confident in the end that I was like, just get me up on stage, we've got this, we've definitely got this.
Because everyone's there at the time, aren't they, saying, can I show you my deal?
And slowly hands go down as we look into the detail of the deals.
And people realise this is actually harder than we thought.
Yeah.
So you finished the crash course, you've got, you've had a couple of days of training. So before you did any advanced training, is that when you started finding deals and really trying to get started?
Yes.
Which is great implementation, rather than... Did you sign up for the deal finding extravaganza at the crash course?
Yeah.
So you signed up for the deal finding extravaganza, but you didn't wait. You said, I'm going to get started. Just after the 2 days, I'm going to get started. You start finding good property investments, which are really good. You know they are because of your training, but you haven't got the finance for them. And then you can't find the investors and you're kind of struggling a little bit. So tell us what the hardest thing was at this point for you in your journey.
The hardest thing is to keep going. I mean, it's very easy to wake up one morning and think, I'm not going to drive 2 hours to go and view these 7 properties that I've booked, or I'm not going to do this today. Maybe I won't make some phone calls and I'll go shopping today and things like that. But for me, this is what we were going to do going forward. We wanted to build great houses, build great properties, for people to live in.
And you're still working full time in retail?
Yeah, so I was doing, this 2 days a week, and I've been doing it 2 days a week since.
Yeah.
So again, each one of them days off, it's very easy to go, actually, do you know what? I'll have a day off today.
Yeah.
But no, I try to work 7 days through. I try to make time for my partner, so we've got time.
So you've worked really hard.
Yeah.
So when you came to the deal finding extravaganza, which for anyone that doesn't know is a more advanced training whereby you actually have more one-on-one time with coaches and stuff to find deals, show them what you've done.
Yeah.
It's more advanced. What then happened? Because I remember on the deal finding extravaganza, I remember you were doing really well and you were finding really good deals, but then on the second day, I believe it was, you came and your car had written off?
Yeah, I had an accident on the motorway on the way to the deal finding extravaganza in the morning. Completely wrote off my car. Managed to get safely to the services, thank God, no one was injured, and called my mum and I was like, look, I need to get to this training course, can you come and pick me up? So I just abandoned the car at this point. She brought me to the deal finding extravaganza, and again, like I said, it wasn't something that was going to stop me. I was going to keep going.
But I remember when you got back and you told me what happened and you said, I've just written my car off, it's going to cost me, like £1,000 or something to fix, it's really annoying, and you didn't have savings or...
No money,
You had no money at all, and you were wanting to get into property, and the big problem was you were thinking, I haven't got any money, and now you've written your car off, and you kept your head in the game, and you kept focused. Of course, anyone's going to be disappointed and feel a bit bummed out, but you said, I remember having a conversation, you said, I'm not going to let that stop me, I'm going to keep focused, and I'm going to do this. So what then happened?
So the deal finding extravaganza really changed my perspective on property, because we'd had all this hardship with trying to find investors, and I remember you saying to me, you're focusing on the wrong things right now. I get that you want to build a long-term wealth and long-term portfolio, but at this moment in time, you need to look for the quick wins, which is cash flow, which will build you that brand with people, and it'll help you to joint venture with people.
Because what I said to you is, you were looking to build long-term wealth, but you weren't particularly loving your job, and you didn't have any money. And I remember saying exactly that to you. I said, you need to get out of your job and you need to get in with people and build your brand and then get the cash flow going. Because capital appreciation is great, but it doesn't pay the bills.
No, it doesn't. No.
And then once you've got some cash flow, then you can then start building your portfolio up. And after that happened, then what was next?
So we took everything that we learned on the DFE and went running with rent to rent.
Why don't you just mention the challenge? Because at the end of the DFE, everyone has to set a 2-week challenge. So tell us about that.
So at the end of the DFE, me and my brother are always like, let's go for this full force. It's always 110 or it's not worth doing it. And I said, right, I'm going to view 40 properties in 2 weeks. I'm going to make 20 phone calls looking for serviced accommodation, rent-to-rent deals, and I'm going to send out 40, 50 letters to HMO landlords to see if I can, help them with their properties or look to rent deals.
Yeah.
And I remember you're like, so who wants to share what they're going to do? And I was like, yeah, I'll share. And you're like, you won't do that. You won't do that many properties. So I took that as a challenge.
I even said, if you view 40 houses in the next 2 weeks, I will give you a cheque for £1,000, which will pay for your car.
Pretty much.
And I said that because I knew you wouldn't do it. but what I also knew was that if you tried to do it, you might view 20.
Yeah.
And I knew that if you viewed 20 houses, you would make more money viewing 20 houses off your own back, maybe by selling deals or whatever it might be, that with the knowledge that you'd also had, then you would make them £1,000.
Yeah.
So after that challenge was set, tell me, how many houses did you view? Did you do 40?
No.
How many did you do?
32.
32! That's pretty good. I mean, that's 32. I thought you might do 20 max. So 32 houses in 2 weeks is incredible.
Yeah.
Tell us your experience of viewing those 32 houses. Were these houses, was it a case of just viewing any old house, or were they picked specifically because they were a certain type of house?
No, so again, we looked for ones that met the 20% return on investment requirement that we looked at.
Yeah.
Because we knew that from an investor's point of view, if that's who we were going to target to get this money, that the deal had to stack up and work. So we looked at two types of properties, ones that we could buy, do some work on it and refinance, and then it still achieved a 20% ROI.
Yeah.
And then we also looked at ones that were ready to go, bit of paint, bit of furnishings, and also hit the 20% ROI.
Amazing. And you were finding these properties online, online agents. You were going on Gumtree quite a lot, Open Rent, all the different sites online, some on market, some off market. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what happened as a result of those 32? Because we had a coaching call, didn't we? 2 weeks after, as part of the deal finding extravaganza, we had like a group coaching call, which was probably 2 weeks in. So tell us what happened at that point.
So 2 weeks in, I'd managed to view about 27, I think I'd viewed at that point. And so all in all, we put offers in of the 32 that I viewed on all of them. But 9 of them had sold prior to me putting offers in, so we managed to get offers on 23 of them.
That says something about the market though. If 9 of them had sold that fast.
I mean, some of them, before I'd even finished the viewing, somebody had an offer accepted. That's literally how crazy they turned around.
Interesting, because where were you looking at these properties?
So we were looking sort of Warrington, Wigan, Crewe area.
Crewe's very much on the up, and you're living in Crewe.
Yeah.
So you were literally viewing houses close to your home as well, which is good if you can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so carry on. Then what happened?
So we put offers in on the 23 and had 21 no's.
Yeah.
We had 2 accepts, which was great because they were below market value. We were confident that these deals were great.
And you'd done all your due diligence. You'd done your market research. You'd valued the house by looking at all the sold houses in the street. You were confident that you'd got 2 genuine below market value deals. But there was a problem, right?
Yeah.
What was the problem?
Money.
Yeah.
So at this point, we thought we'd become compliant sources prior to this. So we thought, right, we'll try and source these deals on. The one was really good, and we thought we want this for ourselves. We want this to be the first house in our portfolio. So we were scrambling around looking for investors, looking to try and raise the money for this one house. The one we managed to source on along with another sourcing agent, because we tried to source it through our own list of investors. So it's very challenging when you haven't got the brand, and what people are looking to do is they just ask lots of questions because they're unsure of you, they're unsure whether the deal's going to stack up.
Yeah.
And it's lots of time wasted when you're on the cusp of things because you've put this offer in, it's been accepted, and you've almost got a countdown of time now before you've got to close the deal. Because
you've had an offer accepted.
Yeah.
A landlord or a motivated seller has said, yes, I want to do that. And then you've got to go and find someone to buy it.
Yeah.
But what you did, which was very clever, because you had no brand, you didn't have a big list of investors, you hadn't had time to build that up, you found someone that had, and then you co-deal sourced the property. So how much profit did you make from passing that on? You didn't even find an investor, you just found the deal, passed it on. How much profit did you make from that?
So we made £1,000 on that.
Okay, which is £1,000, at least it's going to cover all your time and expenses of viewing all the houses.
Yeah.
And that's the same amount as I said I would have given you if you did 40, so you've made it.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. So you're £1,000 up. What about the other house that you had? What happened with that one?
So the other house we managed to raise the finance.
Wow. So you raised the finance. How did you raise the finance?
With great difficulty.
I'm sensing that it's been an uphill struggle, but you're smashing it because you're implementing and you're putting the work in.
We spoke to, so we were trying to obviously be creative with the finance and use money that was gifted and things like that through an investor. And we spoke to 3 mortgage brokers in order to try and get the deal through with how we wanted it to. So obviously we managed to raise the money. We're obviously going to pay for the refurbishment ourselves, my brother and I.
How are you going to pay for that?
Credit cards and things like that, because we know that when we refinance out on the end, we'll be able to pull that money back down.
So you borrowed money from what, like a family member, a friend?
It was an investor.
Where did you meet them?
So obviously through networking events, through obviously, we put some videos up to explain what we're doing.
And where did you learn to do all these things?
All through yourself.
Which is awesome.
Which is great because, you know, the amount of people that then now approach me and say, oh, I've seen your videos on YouTube. And I'm like, oh, that's great.
I mean, even being on this video now, Winners on a Wednesday, you're gonna massively increase your personal brand, but you're only on this channel now because you've done some really, really good stuff, and it snowballs. Your hardest deal is always which one? Your first one, and then the second one is a bit easier, and the third one's a bit easier. So you made £1,000, which was really hard, and then you managed to raise some finance by putting yourself out there and following the steps that we taught you about how to raise finance. How much money did you have to raise?
So for this one, we raised just under £20,000.
And what was the arrangement? Are you paying a fixed return on investment? Are you going to give them a slice of the deal? What did you do?
So what we'll do is we'll give 10% return on investment on the money.
For how long?
For as long as we need the money. So this is the great thing about it, because it means that when we refinance the deal, if something has gone wrong and for some reason we don't refinance out at the price we thought we were going to refinance the house at, we might leave 4 or 5 grand of their money in, but still be able to pay them that 10%.
And which is very, very clever. And it's also very good that you've planned for the worst. You're not, because when you're doing buy, refurbish, refinance, yes, you can pull all of your money out. You can, but there's no guarantees.
Exactly.
Because sometimes it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes the refurb costs more than you thought, the builders take longer, the valuation comes in lower than you hoped, and sometimes valuers are law into themselves, and it's like, but look, that one sold for this, but ultimately they make the decision. So it's a very viable strategy. You can pull all or most of your money out, but what you've done, which is really clever, is you've said, but I'm not gonna let myself become financially crippled if that doesn't happen. I'm gonna prepare for the worst. And best case is amazing, worst case is okay, and likely case is very, very good, which is fantastic. So that's great. So you've now got one buy-to-let property, which is going to be making you some cash flow presumably.
Yep.
How much will you be making off that one?
So on this one, we'll be making £322 cash flow. So if we have to take out, it's 32% ROI on this one. Then if we take out 10%, we'll still make a decent chunk off it.
And you've put in zero money?
Pretty much, yeah.
So because it was all done with an investor's money, and even the refurb was done off loans and credit cards and things like that. Talk about the difference between, just briefly, in case anyone's thinking, oh my gosh, credit cards. Tell us the difference between good debt and bad debt.
So I think the difference between good debt is obviously serviceable debt. So because we're using this money on credit cards, we'll continue to pay bits of it per month, but it's something that's going to generate us cash flow in the long term. By obviously having that and paying the minimum payments and things like that, it's not doing damage to my credit report, because obviously we're still servicing it each month. Yeah,
so you're borrowing money to then make money.
Yeah.
Rather than borrowing money to buy something which makes you feel great
and have nothing to show for it.
And it's gone. It's an asset, not a liability, which is fantastic. So so just off those 2 deals alone, the one made you £1,000, which kind of covered your running around expenses. Then you've now got a free house. I mean, let's not undersay it. That was a no money down deal. You raised money from an investor. You're going to pull, hopefully, all or most of the money out. But even if you don't, you're leaving in the investor's money, who's happy to have 10%. But the deal's going to make 32%.
Yeah.
So he's getting 10%, you're getting 22%, and you're getting the house.
Yeah.
And he put in all the money.
Yeah.
And he's happy, right?
Very much so.
Which is fantastic. So what next? What else?
So
because there is more, right?
Oh, there's more.
We're slowly getting it out. We're teasing it out.
So like I said, obviously the other things I said I was going to do on the DFE was make phone calls, send out letters. So I sent out 84 letters to HMO landlords off the HMO registry in 2 counties, just seeing if they were interested in getting together for a coffee or if they needed any help or they were looking to offset their HMO properties. Made loads of phone calls, looking for rent-to-rent deals, rent-to-serviced accommodation deals. I think I made 32 in the end over about a 3-week period.
And it's really important to track your numbers, isn't it? Because
yeah, definitely.
Sometimes people say, oh, everyone's saying no. Yeah. And it's like, well, how many people have you actually spoke to? Maybe 3? Well, come on.
I remember one day, it is tough because you sit there and you come off the phone and everyone says no, and it does hit you hard. Yeah. But like you say, you've got to keep going.
What gave you that resilience? I know it's natural. I know that you're a naturally resilient person, and that's quite obvious. The training that you had at the crash course and the deal finding extravaganza, did we almost set you up to expect that as well?
Yeah, because I work on statistic basis, so the things that have been said to me at the crash course and the DFE set you up for the fact that this is going to happen. It's going to be a tough journey. Property is easy if you put the right things into it, but it's going to be tough and it's going to be hard to get there. And then when you read people's inspiring books like the Go for No book, I almost go for that no. So it's still tough, even though you go for that.
For a no?
Because it's.
And explain what you mean by go for no.
So if the statistics are it's 40 phone calls to get 1 yes, but actually you ring 2 people and get 2 yeses, you might think, oh, I can sit on my laurels now if you're going for the yes. Whereas if you think, right, I'm going to ring 40 people today and get 40 no's, you might end up with 5 or 6 yeses because you've gone for the no's, so your statistics are higher.
And that book as well is searchable online, Go for No.
It's great.
Which is a fantastic book. Okay, so then what happened?
So I got contacted by a very motivated landlord that looked to offset his 2 HMO properties, and I thought this was the deal that was going to make me financially free. We went and had a meeting. He told me everything he wanted. I worked out the numbers, and they were great, and they really, really stacked up. He was happy. We jigged the numbers so he got more money in some respectives of it, and it worked out really well. And I remember contacting you and about it and explaining what had happened. And then it was great. And on the day that we were going to sign for it, he come back to me and said that he'd spoken to a family member who told him that he now needed to charge me an upfront cost for these 2 HMOs. Which was just a figure that I couldn't pay to him. Yeah. And all of a sudden I'd lost these 2 deals, which I thought were going to make me financially free. They were going to get me out of work, and it was tough. Yeah. But for me, it's fine. I remember contacting you and saying, look, just discipline your disappointment and move on to the next thing.
So important. Discipline your disappointment. Celebrate your success, but you can only do that when you first learn to discipline your disappointment. Yeah. And for you, I know that was It
was a real knockdown because, we're coming into the Christmas season, so work gets tougher at this point. Yeah. I thought it's fine, we'll make some more phone calls, and phone call after phone call, and then I managed to get in touch with a landlord that was really interested, and we were offering him serviced accommodation. Went to view the property.
It feels like you're suddenly this property guru. It's like, I've done a raised finance, and then I've done a rent to, I'll do a bit of serviced accommodation, and here at HMO, and we've packaged it and sold it. Like, geez, that's a lot of skills that you've been doing.
It's a lot, and this is why we're now focusing around the rent-to-rents, because I don't want to overstretch myself and try to juggle lots of things. Yeah,
but still though, it's someone who's a good property investor is someone that's valuable, and someone that can find someone who's stuck, a motivated seller that can have different strategies up their sleeve and say, how can I help?
Yeah.
And I think I would really own that. I think that's really what you've mastered, and you've learned well, you've taken good notes, and you've gone out and you've implemented, which is going to just serve you so well. So you've just recently secured a rent-to-serviced accommodation.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And that's in Sheffield, all places, yeah. which is an area that I know very well now. Yeah. Previously didn't know at all. So in Sheffield, tell us about that deal. How did you get there, and what are the figures?
So we looked at Sheffield because I went to university there. I know the city centre really well and absolutely loved the place, and thought, I want to focus there because I know lots of people travel for work, lots of people travel for leisure as well. So I thought we're going to tap into a really good market of different types of people coming to visit the area.
For serviced accommodation?
For serviced accommodation.
Okay.
So we looked at other statistics of what other people were doing and what the figures looked like, and knew we'd get a good occupation rate of about 22 days, 67% of the month on good months. So we managed to strike the deal with the landlord.
Did you find the landlord direct?
No, so we found it. Yeah, sorry, we found him direct through.
So you found him direct through what?
Through Gumtree.
Gumtree.
Yeah.
You know what? Gumtree is very valuable for finding. People say, oh, there's not enough leads. Actually, there's new motivated sellers putting their properties and their mobile phone numbers on Gumtree every single day.
Exactly.
So come on, let's just learn the skills, implement, and pick up the phone, and we'll do a deal, right?
And this landlord actually was a no to start with.
Right. So you were like, yes, go for no.
Yeah, well,
But
exactly.
Actually, it'd be nice to turn him into a yes.
But I rang him and he said, oh, I'm really sorry, it's just gone, somebody's taken it. And I was like, that's fine, let me explain to you what I was trying to do, so if it comes up in 6 months' time again, I'm still here.
Clever.
And he contacted me 2 weeks later and said, look, this guy's fallen through. Are you still interested? Because I've obviously done the work with him and I set him up for that, he got back in touch with me, which was great.
Relationships over deals.
Exactly. We went to view it and I was astounded by the property. I thought it was amazing, it was a really good value. We worked out the figures and went through the contracts with him, and he was really happy with it.
You picked up the keys how many weeks ago?
So we picked up the keys 24 days ago.
24 days ago?
Yeah.
And then did you have to furnish it?
Yeah, so we furnished part of it, so it was part furnished.
How did you afford to pay all the upfront costs, or were there not many upfront costs?
So the upfront cost was, we paid him a first month rent up front as a bit of a guarantee for him.
Which was how much?
So on this one it was £950.
So £950 is what you're paying each month. You paid that up front. What else did you pay up front?
So that was it, that's all we paid him up front.
Okay.
And
no other costs?
No other cost to him. And then we paid for broadband for 6 months because we were really lucky. The building we was in gave us the facility to pay 6 months up front for broadband and get it cheaper.
Right.
We set up the service fees and things like that. And then
how much did it cost you in total to do all the setup? So the $950, what about everything else up front?
So we did pay for some furnishings and things like that, which again...
Did you lease the furniture or did you buy it?
We bought the furniture.
How much?
So we paid $2,200 and that was everything. So that's all the bedding.
So how much altogether for the whole deal?
So in terms of paying the upfront cost and what we've paid, it would be $3,100.
And where did that money come from?
So again, we paid it on credit cards. We had some money saved to pay for the deposit, but all the furnishings and things went onto credit cards again.
Fair enough. 0%?
0%, yeah.
How long for?
For 6 months.
But then you'll probably be able to transfer it again onto another 0% credit card, which is cool. In the last, people might say, you must feel, how could you sleep at night with all these...
Nervously.
Nervously. Tell me, in the last, when did it go live?
So it went live 24 days ago.
It went live 24 days ago. Did you get the keys for it?
2 days prior to that.
Okay, so in the last 24 days, how much money have you taken in from bookings in that apartment?
So we've taken £10,000 in bookings.
£10,000. That is incredible. And of course, some of that is going to go towards, you're going to have to pay towards booking fees like booking.com or whoever, and some of that is going to go on cleaners and things, but that's still going to be a hefty amount of profit. And that's going to be every month now, which is just incredible. So let me ask you a question. Are you financially free yet?
Very nearly, almost.
Pretty much there.
Getting there, yeah.
So what's the next steps for you then? Now you've done multiple deals, you've done no money down. In fact, every deal you've done has been no money down. You've raised finance and done no money down deal. You've sold properties, co-deal sourced. You've now done a rent to service accommodation, which you've done on a credit card. You're now in a situation whereby how much cash flow do you expect? Now you've seen everything set up to be making from everything that you've got set up so far.
So the serviced accommodation, we're expecting between £600 and £800 cash flow a month as a minimum, and the house will bring us about £320 cash flow in per month. So,
and then your deal sourcing.
And then deal sourcing on top of that. So I think, we're probably expecting to be making £1,500 cash flow per month if we keep continuing the work level we're putting in at the minute.
And have you got other deals in the pipeline?
So again, I'm spending all my days off still working, looking for rent to service accommodation deals. I've got 2 that I'm really hoping that are going to make it through the line, but fingers crossed, we'll see how they get on.
So basically the next thing that happens, you're going to be basically financially free.
Basically.
When are you hoping to quit your job by? In how much time?
So I'm hoping to quit my job end of January.
At the end of January. Fantastic. I think you'll be able to do that. What have been the key lessons? I know in one sense, people could say, watching this interview, it sounds like it's been a real struggle. You're working 7 days a week and you've been... But really, you only came on the deal finding extravaganza a few months ago?
Yeah.
So this has all happened in just 3 months. It's short-term it's short-term pain for long-term gain, and we call it delayed gratification. So what lessons of success would you pass on to people that are watching this that are thinking, oh, I'm prepared to work 7 days a week, I'm prepared to grind, I'm prepared to hustle, I'm prepared to do that for a few months to get to where you've got to? What skills and tips would you give them?
I think the most important thing is to never underestimate the very small things that you do. It might be that very small post on Facebook, it might be that video. And like I say, every single piece of time that you've got is valuable, whether it's to go to a networking event, to speak to people. You know, every single person that contacts me, I never dismiss them, you know, because somebody wants to ask me a question, so I'm going to answer it. And, you know, education...
That might change after this video.
But education is valuable to people, and you know, if I hadn't have done the things I've done through education, I wouldn't have been able to take that information on board, and obviously use it to help myself and my own successes. So I think really that's the key, is you know, get educated. And
that's why I do what I do.
You don't know what you don't know is the thing.
I mean, that's why I do what I do. That's why I run training programs, and for people like you that are hungry, that are prepared to do what it takes, but need the tools and need the information. And I can't make anyone successful. All I can do is give them the tools and tell them how to use them, and then it's down to people like yourself to put the work in, which you've done really well, and I'm really proud of you as a student. How's your brother now? How does he feel about everything?
Oh, he loves it. I mean, my brother takes care of a lot of the finances and things, and he's still working full time as an electrician. You know, but he
is he over the moon with the success?
He rings me up every couple of days, and we talk about where we're up to. And when he rang me, and I was like, just run through where we're up to with bookings and how much you're making. And when he told me the figure, you could hear the giddiness in his voice. You know, and we really are going to build a great legacy for ourselves, and nothing's going to stop us.
And this is just part one. This is after 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, imagine what's going to happen after 3 years.
Exactly.
It's just incredible. I'm really pleased for you. What advice would you give to someone watching this that was weighing up whether to go to the crash course or not? And maybe they had all these reasons why not to go. It's far, I'm tired, or I'm scared that it's just going to be a waste of time. What advice would you give to them?
I think the best piece of advice I can give is just go out and do it, because you know, we don't second guess ourselves when, you know, we've been conditioned to go through education. We don't second guess ourselves when we go to university, and we pay a huge amount of money to do something like that. So if this is something you're really interested in, then don't second guess yourself. Go out there and do it. Go out there and prove to yourself what you can do, but be prepared to put the work in, because that's what it takes. And don't expect somebody to hand it you on a place, because it always will be the wrong thing.
Absolutely. Did you have any idea? I know at the moment you're not making, you know, tens of thousands or anything crazy, but you've had some serious success, and you've started with nothing at all, and now you're going to be quitting your job in the next month or so, which is incredible. Did you know how fast this would happen? Did you have any idea how, or what would you have thought if you were speaking to yourself 6 months ago and you'd have told yourself what was going to happen? What would you have thought? Would you have believed it?
No, I mean, 6 months ago I told myself I'd think to quit my job in 18 months if we did all these little steps, and I didn't expect things to go.
So your 18-month plan went into like a 3-6 month plan, which is just incredible. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm sure there'll be a part 2 in a year or two when you're absolutely killing it. In the meantime, I'm here totally to support you, and thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Thanks, Samuel.
My name's Samuel Leeds. Thank you for watching Winners on a Wednesday. Every single week, we interview our success students for your inspiration. You can watch more right here on the playlist. There's a whole playlist of them. But what you'll notice is every single winner on a Wednesday, it always starts with them coming to my 2-day crash course. So if you would like to be a winner on a Wednesday, literally come on my crash course, and who knows, in 3 months' time, you could be here in my offices on this show as a winner on a Wednesday. So get yourself booked on the crash course, watch more, have fun. I'll see you next week.